So the next thing I did was I attacked the bass portion that's on the right side of the stereo field. Here's how it sounded before. All right. So basically this portion of the sample was from the very beginning of the song, where it was just the bass coming in without the guitar playing. Really, all the separation I had to do was in when the guitar came in, the bass was still there, so that's why I had to separate the bass from it. So here's the bass from the intro, and I'm going to show you what I did to it to kind of like clean it up. I threw on the NS1, which immediately took all of that background noise out. I put the one knob filter on there. I just like the way it sounded. And I feel like it took some of those high, you know, those like those sounds you kind of can hear. I mean, maybe I'll leave it, I don't know. All right, so the next thing I did was I sent it to the J37 tape, which is a tape emulating software, and I set it to the bass DI preset. Let's hear how that sounds. Very subtle, but it worked. Make sure you're using headphones to hear the differences, by the way. All right, the next thing I did was I threw on this max bass to add some more bass within the frequency ranges between 32 and 256, and I set it to the medium preset. All right, the next thing I did was I threw on this R bass by Waves, and around 80 added some more intensity. Really just throwing this plugin on there and letting it just pass the signal pass through it. It really just made a huge difference. So here's what I did. Here's how that sounds. So I also sent that same signal you just heard to a separate bus 28, and what I did was I wanted to basically add some width to the bass, and the way I did that was by sending it to the bus, getting rid of most of the low end and kind of left more of the higher frequencies of the bass. And then I put an effect on it to send it to the right and left ears, as far as across the stereo field. And how I did that was by throwing this gain plugin on there and hitting the left phase invert button. So let me just solo that out by itself so you can hear it. Wrong thing. All right. And I put an R bass on it to boost the frequencies around 123, just so that, you know, if you're hearing it on a laptop or a computer or a cell phone, you can kind of hear that frequency better. You and you can still hear the bass. So that, in combination with the rest of these plugins on the bass, you get this. Forgot to turn the R bass on. So let me just let you hear before and after with both of these tracks with all the plugins turned off, so you can hear what the effects did to them. A lot of plugins, but I'm really trying to, you know, manipulate the original sound and stay true to it and keep it, instead of playing the chords over or using different basses and stuff like that. So here it is before. Well, honestly, let me just let you hear this one by itself, because that's where, let me turn the pan off. That's where the both the original sound is, with both the bass and the guitar and the regular guitar. All right, and then with everything turned on, so the sounds sound more prominent. They sound kind of separated a little bit, and the reason why I'm doing it this way is because in my mix, that's gonna end up being good for me as far as with the rest of the instruments I add. Another thing that I did was I took this ozone imager and I wanted to mess with the bass as far as its stereo field, because most of the time bass is heard in mono, or even, you know, so to have the bass in the right ear or panned around is really kind of, you know, certain songs do that depending on the feel of the record, but most of the time the bass is dead centered. So I took the bass and put this ozone plugin on, stereo imager, and I hit this mono button to see what it sounded like in mono. That's in mono. So basically, instead of just leaving it in mono, I'm going to just control some of the stereo field with this band here, and I kind of reduce some of the width of it to make space for other instruments that are going to be sitting in that area. So what I did was I hit the learn button so I can learn what frequencies that bass is, you know what I mean, sitting at, and just to do that, all you do is hit the learn button and press play or hit the space bar. And from there, I took this band and just kind of narrowed the sound of a little bit and cleaned up the rest of the mix. Cleaned up the mix as far as where in the stereo field the bass is occupying. So I kind of narrowed it a little bit, that low end. I can additionally reduce some here. If I solo, not too much. Yeah, so this part is really the mid-range of the bass. I kind of want that to be wide, a little bit more wider. And this portion, I can narrow down a little bit so that information doesn't get lost. So that information doesn't muddy up the mix. All right.